Hello, welcome to my cake kitchen. I am Gladys. I love cakes, and yeah, I took an unprecedented break from YouTube for the last 10 days. If you've been here for a little while, you'll know Sundays are not the days that I show up here, but for good reason, I am back. So let's jump right into making a simple sponge for stacking, which is going to be made out of baking block and a mixture of baking block and vegan sort of baking block as well. So you have the regular baking block and the vegan option, which I have put together to make a stackable cake. We'll see what the difference is at the end of the bake. And if it's your first time here, hello there, welcome. I'm not going to waste time. There's a lot to catch up on since I've been away for 10 good days. I have some regular people who stop by and then we catch up. Unfortunately, I don't think they knew that I'll be here. I didn't know myself, but it's a good time because I walked my way into a last minute cake. So instead of doing that on behind the scenes, I thought I'll bring you along the journey so that you will get to see what is happening here. So if you chance into the live, hello there. We're getting right into baking this cake, and for convenience I am going to be employing my stand mixer. But before we get the stand mixer back on show, I'm going to talk you through the ingredients I am going to be using here. I have an adaptable sponge cake recipe, which is the vanilla sponge cake recipe that I am going to be using, but the only difference is that I am employing a different kind of fat as the base. Like I said, we'll see how that affects the results in the end. Before we go on, I'm going to preheat the oven to 170 degrees C for the entire time that we are doing this. Let me just make sure that my microphone is on. Okay, yeah, the microphone is on. I'm not dressing in the public square. So we are making we're making a sponge cake using the vegan baking block and a regular baking block. We have also some vanilla here. So the ingredients we have on the table, include this is caster sugar. Caster sugar here. We have some eggs, which is broken. I break and weigh my eggs before use. I have self-raising flour. This has no plain flour in it. And as a note, you will realize we don't have any rising agent added here. In the UK, self-raising flour does have rising agent. So the use of self-raising flour alone means that I do not get to use the baking powder or baking soda or whatever. That's a question I get a lot, and that is the reason here. Now I have some milk into which I have some vinegar. It's sort of the equivalent of homemade buttermilk, but it's not buttermilk. The vinegar, which is an acid, reacts with the milk. What it does is that it tenderizes the gluten and helps me yield a very light textured bake. I mean, the result of a light textured fluffy cake that still has structure is a case of science and technique, and I am combining both. Make sure all your ingredients are at room temperature, and of course the fat option here is I have half a portion of vegan block here and half a portion of baking block. Now a quick conversation about why I am using this option. It is simply because that's what I have available, and this recipe is really adaptable. Is it leaning onto a vegan bake here? No, that's because we have eggs over here. But baking blocks and margarine have a lot in common, except that baking blocks, little bit confused here. Baking blocks are optimized for getting some better results as opposed to margarine, because they have characteristics that you can compare, and I'll put some notes for you to see later, probably in the description box as well. So there you have it. Check the description box for some of the information surrounding the baking block and margarine. Can one be better than the other? It's neither here nor there. It's a case of your own goals, what your outcomes for the bake is going to be. And for this, it's actually what I'm aiming for, just to get myself a nice lovely bake whilst also running through the experiment of how extensively adaptable the recipe is. So I'm just going to move the ingredients to the side, and we'll get the mixer back in short. And like I said, for the quantity and ingredients here, you can definitely employ a hand mixer, but for convenience I am going for a stand mixer. This is my Kenwood K-Mix which will do the job for me. And whilst you're here, Lollipop is in the chat. Hello, lovely. How are you? It's great to have you all in the chat. There is is it AI video shorts and your, I can't see, is it AI video shorts? Is it AI, or did I get that wrong? Wait until you are done. Bacon is good. Right. I think I missed what you're saying over there. Look, I'll come and talk to you. Let's get the bake in the oven, because I'm just trying to get my rhythm back since I've been mad at YouTube for the last 10 days. And we'll probably catch up on what has happened and why I have been gone for such a long time. But yes, it's such a pleasure to be back. I missed being here, but I was also taking the time off to kind of reevaluate my values for why I'm on YouTube in the first place. And it will make it quite a good conversation to have. So in the meantime, let's just get on with the bake first. Lollipop is here, and if you're new in the chat, people, hello there, all the good people. There are 30 of you there. If you took a little moment, and this is the only time I ask you for something, if you took a little moment and stopped to like the video and register your presence, tell us where you're joining us from, first of all, and what the time is wherever you are, right? Just so that we have a sense of what the time difference is. It's quite a fascinating concept to think that it's 4 p.m. in the UK time, so we're headed to the evening, and some parts of the world the day has just started for you. If you catch me early in the morning, I won't be here, okay? So tell us where you, first of all, like the video. If you haven't subscribed, here's an invitation to say, do consider subscribing, okay, and join the family here. We are family. We have a great time. And if you stop around longer, you'll find that for yourself. Secondly, tell us where you're joining us from, specifically the country you're joining us from. If you don't fancy sharing that, that is fine. We respect your privacy at this point in time. But also tell us what the time difference is wherever you are. And take a chance to say hello to your friends in the chat, okay? Because you'll find that, yes, it's my name on the channel and my face here talking to you about all things baking. But most of the time, it's the people you meet in the chat room who are your acquaintances and who will enhance the experience of being here. And I take the chance to say thank you to all the moderators, including Lollipop, and every one of you who stops by and who makes an effort to engage with everyone in the chat. I am immensely grateful for that. Now let's plug the mixer in and get on to the bake. Now with the mixer here, we're getting our fat in here. I will put all the details you need in the description box as well when we are done. And also check the community post where I will also post the ingredient details for you so that you can see all of that. So now we have our sugar, and we have the sugar and baking fat in there. We're going to cream this for 4 to 6 minutes exactly, and then we'll check what it looks like. If it's creaming and I'm not talking to you, that is simply because it's very noisy and I don't want to shout at you over the mixer. But trust me, when we are done, you will get to have me for yourself and we can catch up a little bit more. Okay, thank you. Now let's cream this. So we have the baking block and vegan spread creaming for 4 minutes. It's 16-16, so we'll give it to 16-20 just to see 4 to 6 minutes, and it should change color, increase in volume, and the consistency gets lighter and fluffy. That is where you get the sugar and the I keep saying margarine. It's not margarine here, it's baking block. Normally I would be using butter or margarine, so the word choice is kind of a little bit confusing for me. And this is creaming at speed 4.5, okay? Speed 4.5. Lollipop, butter substitute just sounds like a tongue roller. I don't think I really care to say butter substitute. But anyway, baking spread, baking fat, that is fine, okay? And whilst we're at it, why did I forget that we need vanilla in here? So there's vanilla. Right, I'm gonna go cream, scrape the bowl. Can you tell that mentally I'm still adjusting to be? We are creaming already, but I'm gonna just clear the bowl, as in scrape it around to make sure that everything is mixed together nicely. We don't want an unincorporated mix here where the butter or the fat is not creamed all together and you have bits of it everywhere, okay? So just making sure that everything is in the bowl will help a lot. Now with that in, let's go back to creaming this. We have 4 minutes of creaming, and here is the consistency I have. I mean, it is very light and the texture looks nice and the consistency is great here. Now if I was making cupcakes, I will stop here because I don't want to overbeat this or incorporate too much air, which will lead to the cupcakes overflowing the lip and collapsing. But because I'm making cakes, there's nothing like overbeating at this point. So I'm going to go for another extra 2 minutes just so that I can get the consistency really right, and then we will then come and add the egg. So let's add another 2 minutes in, and then yeah, we will continue this. 14:22, so it's exactly 6 minutes in, and it's time to add the eggs. Now we have 275 grams of eggs here, but normally you'll want to beat the eggs and add it. I have some different ways I add the eggs depending on what I want to achieve. So first of all, I'm going to add some of the yolks here. The 275 grams of eggs here is about 5 large eggs altogether, and so I'm going to start with about 3 yolks. Now the yolks are not separate from the eggs, it's just the way I am adding them in to enhance emulsification before the other ingredients go in. So I'm going to start with 1 egg, and then 1 egg yolk. We'll let that cream together. And then we have the 2nd egg yolk, and then we have the 3rd egg yolk. And then when that is gone in, I am going to now beat the rest of the eggs, which will be added in separately. Now that the egg yolks are mixed in to enhance emulsification, I'm going to just scrape all that in. And a good tip, when the egg yolks go in, you realize it gets really lighter and it looks very creamy, and it increases in volume as well. So bear that in mind. I'm just going to let that cream for 2 minutes with the egg yolks only before we add the eggs. Robert is asking, hi, what are you doing? Robert, welcome to the chat. I am making a cake, okay? We're making a stackable sponge cake with structure, but we have changed the base part of it, which is using baking block for the base part. Normally for this recipe, I use margarine or I use butter, but I am just using baking block, which is the difference here. But the recipe is adaptable, so we are just trying to see what the result will be. I know it's going to yield well, but it's best trying it right in front of you just so that we can answer the question as well. Okay? Now, after 2 minutes of the egg yolks mixing in, we're going to add the rest of the eggs. Now that all the eggs are gone in, what I'm going to do is again make sure I scrape everything in the bowl together and then let it mix before we add the flour. Okay, the eggs are mixed in, and the good thing is that if you want to know how the consistency of your eggs and base fat looks like, we don't have brokenness here. The texture is just slightly like cottage cheese like, but unlike sometimes when things are not mixed together, you'll have some of the eggs seeping down into the base of the bowl and the mixture looking like it's curdled. We don't have that here, so that's a good sign that our mixture or batter is emulsifying correctly. Now we're going to start by adding the self-raising flour. Mind you, again, we're not using baking powder or baking soda here, simply because I'm using self-raising flour. Now, if you're going to be making cupcakes, this has to be adapted slightly, but again, I'll leave notes in the description box for your convenience. Okay, so as always, I try to do the mixing on the mixer, and that is because this mixer specifically has a fold function, which is the lowest setting on here. It is just to allow the mixing of things that are slightly delicate, and also for the mixing of flour into batter to ensure that you don't overdevelop the gluten. Of course, if you don't have that function on your mixer, what you need to do is at this point in time slow your mixer down to its lowest setting possible, just in time so that you can add the flour, possibly just to kind of cut away the faff. I'll encourage probably hand mixing at this point and then swapping back to the mixer to finish things off, but I am using the fold function, so let's go try that. Yeah. Normally, it's recommended that dry ingredients are alternated with liquid, but the liquid here is about 60 mils, so not much going on. I'm just going to add that in one go, and that's all we have. Now, I am going to stop the mixing now and use the spatula to get the mixing finished before I probably get this all done by the mixing. There you go. So another scrape around the bowl, just to make sure that the flour and everything is uniformly incorporated. And by the way, in my flour is a touch of salt as well, so bear that in mind. The flour has about 5 to 7 grams of salt. I am not going to go back on the stand mixer. I think everything is mixed homogeneously for me, so okay, we'll get this up there. Okay, now let's get this all mixing. A good sign that your batter is going to be great is how it tastes, and yeah, I love the taste of this. Now, we're going to divide this into two 5-inch tins because the cake I'm going to be making is going to bake tall. These are the PME 4-inch deep pans. Okay, these are 5 inches in diameter and they bake 4 inches deep. Now I'll tell you now that the consistency of the batter is a little firmer than I normally have it, but then we'll bake it and then we'll see the results. That's the joy of having a live session, so that we get to see the results of what we put to test. So let's wait and see. Now, normally you slam this on the surface to pop up any extra air bubbles. And one last thing that I do to help is make sure you level the surface of your bake and then create a hole in the middle, especially for a 4-inch deep bake. Now, even though if I turn this, it might, I hope you can see it full to the brim, the lip liner should hold the excess when it rises. This is just a little below the pan, just so that it makes room, because the liner doesn't come all the way up. But the goal is to flatten the surface to enhance an even bake. And then you dig in the middle, because your bake bakes outside in. So you want to create a space so that when it pushes the batter, it falls on the inside, which will help give you a level bake over there. And for how deep this is, perhaps it would be great if you could use baking pins. I don't, and that is because I have a convection fan oven, and the recipe kind of bakes deep by itself anyway, so I don't need the extra help. But there you have it. The batter is done. Our oven was preheating at 170 already. I'm going to turn that down to 160, and to aid an even bake for me, I'm going to put a tray of water just to serve as a cooling mechanism in the oven whilst the cakes bake. So let's get the tray to do that. It doesn't have to be a tray. It can be a baking a baking pan or something. So just some water. Let's see. Oh, there's a tray here already. Right, so the sizzling is the water you hear. Okay, there you go. So that's some water at the base of the oven. So with the water in the oven, the 160 that is supposed to bake at kind of oscillates between 150 and 160 depending on how it goes. But this should be in for about an hour to an hour 15 minutes, and that will be the bake down. So now that our cake is in, we're going to be moving to making ganache. Take a seat, grab a cup of tea, because we're going to be diving into ganache. But before we do all of that, let me just address my angry issues with YouTube for a minute with you, so bear with me. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Right, good vibes and everybody. I missed you guys. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your patience with me. So if you've been here for a little while, so before we go on, right, a polite reminder, if you're just joining us this Sunday, do like the video, okay, and join the community over here. Consider subscribing, and yeah, where have I been? The last 10 days has been a bit mad. Like, the only way I will explain this whole thing is that I just realized that I was in a committed relationship with a boyfriend who really didn't care so much about me. Okay, that's just that's just the metaphor of it. So I've decided to probably invite the side dude to the bed. Okay, that's not my moral principle. Okay, that's just trying to give you a lesson so that you remember what we're talking about here. Right, my journey onto YouTube started a little over 4 going to 5 years ago, when I knew nothing about the platform. I came on YouTube just because I had the passion to inform and bring a perspective of the subject of cakes from my own point of view. And prior to doing that, I really am a lover of the platform. Okay, so this is not a conversation to dump on YouTube and tell on YouTube and throw my toys out of the pram. But for most things that we all do, there's always an opportunity for re-evaluation, self-reflection, and adapting whilst you go along, which is what has brought us here. And if you've been here, for those of you who ride with me till dawn, you know that our affection for each other has run a little deeper than it is on the surface over here. Some of you email me and we keep in touch over there and we have a laugh. And I like to think most of you who subscribe here do not just subscribe here just for the subject of cakes. There's an affection for probably myself as the name and the presenter of the channel, but also for our shared values. Now, these are things I didn't know I would come to when I started YouTube. When I started YouTube, I don't think as passionate as I was about the subject matter, I'd like to think I was also very self-aware to realize that I wasn't very skilled in many areas as far as communicating and being on the platform was concerned. So for me, YouTube was always a learning opportunity for me. And for want of a better word, I would say to you that for me, even when I'm stood here, it is always like a personal thing for me, which is that I have said loudly on here, which I stand by, that if YouTube went away, my life will go on and I will always be grateful for the opportunity it granted me. And that is because YouTube, as much as I engaged on the platform as a means to teach and be passionate and to share my passion for creating cakes and on the subject matter of cakes as an artistic form and a science-based subject, YouTube was always a moment of self-development and growth for me, from growing my own skill in communication to growing my skills in the science, the knowledge of the science of baking, and also the artistry of decoration. It was always about just learning to develop me, and then through that, I shared those things with you. So the last 4 years were just like a learning opportunity and a journey of self-growth and development for me. It is not something I always said out loud, because I guess for all of us, sometimes you learn as you go. So as my journey grew, certain things kind of came along the way, and I was always forced to kind of like adapt reasonably, right? I was never in a rush to do anything I couldn't afford to do, whether it was in terms of time investment or putting my integrity on the line or compromising my relationship with you in terms of the value I brought, right? So as much as I've always maintained from the get-go that, yeah, if YouTube was just a hobby for me, I have several different hobbies that I would probably go and engage in. There was always the idea that YouTube was a business. And as a business, it still had to do with people. And the people are you who is watching me now. Your attention and your time investment in just staying consistent with me is something that is not to be devalued. Even if the subject of value is so subjective and very nuanced. So for that matter, I have never been very quick to pivot or move in the direction of the crowd. And I have actually enjoyed the loyalty and support of you guys, allowing me to navigate this course in my own time, my own way, with even all the challenges that came along with it. So what has brought us here, and why is this conversation so long-winded and so serious, and yet what's the point? The point is that in the last 10 days, YouTube had a crisis. And the way if you're not on the platform as a creator, you probably wouldn't be affected. For some of us creators, we woke up one day, including myself, and then suddenly the platform was having issues. And the issues were such that I woke up and the account that is linked, the account from which you are seeing me now, which is a creator's account for me, was inactive. I couldn't watch my own videos. I couldn't watch other creators' videos. It was almost like I couldn't do anything. And the only thing I was limited to doing was responding to posts and comments. That freaked me out for a hot minute. A really hot minute. I was freaked out because, you know what? After 4 years of engaging with you and putting my heart out into everything that comes with it, learning, coming to put my heart out here, and also the knowledge of like creating everything I've created, you wake up one day and it's gone. It will take you a minute to adjust and accept that, okay, this is gone. Thankfully, it wasn't gone in the way that was like in its worst form. It was gone in such that for some reason the system had a glitch, and then suddenly some of us was affected. I find that this wasn't unusual to just me. I'm no special human being over here who's having problems with YouTube. It was something that was affecting different parts of this platform in different times. So by the time it began to affect me, some other people were experiencing it long before I realized that I was also a party to what was happening on the platform. And probably that is also down to my own naivety, because I enjoy YouTube as a platform, but when I'm done here, my life doesn't exist around social media at all. Like my life just goes on and nothing else matters anymore, you know. So like I am not in the business of chasing YouTube like that. And if you've been here, you will know that some days I will get a video done with you guys, leave it, and 24 hours later you'll find me following up on exactly where I took things off from, right? And that's just because whilst I'm passionate and obsessed about YouTube, I have a life that I am such contentment for, that after all of this, my life just goes on. So I wasn't really dialed into the effects of the platform until I woke up one morning, had prepared, I think that was last Monday, was preparing for coming back on YouTube, which is when my live tutorials happen. And then I realized I couldn't even log in properly. Like it kept telling me, this video cannot be played. And in that moment, my brain was like, oh my God, what has happened? So I went and activated my Twitter account, and I tried to kind of, because YouTube as a platform is available on like the people who handle YouTube, as in the technical managers, you'll find them on other platforms, and they are very active on X, which used to be Twitter. So I thought, is this unusual to me? So I checked on Twitter, and suddenly it became apparent that it was a wide-ranging problem affecting various people and that I wasn't special. The difficulty though is that I felt like YouTube wasn't really resolving the issue by focusing on the value that we creators were giving you, the subscribers. First of all, for whatever the issue was, YouTube just went down the corporate path. I have a few assumptions for what was happening, but I don't think I am really well informed to make assumptions about it. It seems like YouTube were trying to reset their system by introducing new settings, and that caused a glitch in their platform somehow. I don't know. That's an assumption I make based on my experience and based on the information I gathered. But instead of YouTube actually getting ahead and informing us, the creators, that, you know what, there's a system issue here and we are on it, just hold on tight, it just highlighted how sure YouTube was on this issue. Because by the time, and I'm a fairly small creator, the creators who have huge numbers on the platform are assigned creator managers, like your personal manager you can go to when a problem arises. But people like us who are like on the smaller side of the numbers are limited to the access we have. So first of all, I realized very quickly that up until this point where I had enjoyed just a consistent ride of peace with YouTube, I woke up to a crisis that I really didn't know who to go to solve the problem, and hence why I ended up on Twitter. And I am not an active user on Twitter. Like, I haven't had a Twitter account forever. Okay, imagine the last time I was on Twitter was about a year ago, and I only have four followers, which is myself, my son's dad, and 2 other people in my close circle, right? So with such a followership, am I likely to attract the attention of YouTube? Probably not. So trying to even highlight the problem of not being able to access my account onto YouTube was actually a challenge in itself. So I woke up to this problem that I didn't even know how to solve. And then I tried to contact YouTube on Twitter. And when I did, thankfully, they were very prompt. They came back to me. Unfortunately, by the time they got back to me, the suggestions they suggested that I undertake, the actions they suggested I undertake to resolve the problem, which included having to reset my passwords, refresh all of those things I had done based on the information I sought earlier. So I was quick to say to YouTube that whatever your actions you are recommending is ineffective, because I have tried all of that. And this is going on to 48 hours since the account limitation. Eventually, I got into contact with the YouTube feedback system, where I was assigned a customer service person, I would say a creator support person, who from the start seemed really helpful, but very quickly, once they realized, it was more like the thing where you call the company and the company seems like they want to help you, and the moment they realize that your problem probably ties into several other problems that they have failed at solving, they give you the corporate jargon. So very quickly I had the, oh, you should make sure you're adhering to the policies on YouTube. It was as though it was my fault, and I was confident it was my fault because there were thousands of other people on Twitter complaining about the same problem. So I realized that, okay, this is a YouTube problem, okay, not mine, but how that affects me and therefore you is on the subject of the value I use the platform to create for you and the investment you make in terms of your time. Right? Because if YouTube wasn't really clear on recognizing very quickly that there are people whose attention are invested in what we do here, from which YouTube earns a cut of the investment you make, and somehow we are just sat here looking at each other whilst YouTube is over there tinkering away, that wasn't enough for me. And suddenly I realized that the part of YouTube that always felt like a fun, passionate self-development project has kind of like veered off a little bit for me. Because if this was always a fun self-development project and then YouTube tinkered away to the side, I'll just go about my life and wait till YouTube fixes itself. But here was my biggest challenge and the issue I was looking to address, which is that as my journey as a person on the platform and as a creator grew, so did my own ambitions and goals and interests and things that I wanted to develop on, including growing the platform and thereby the business. By so doing, at some point in time, sometime just the last couple of months, I tried to introduce a membership. Now, I've said before that I wasn't quite sure or clear on the membership. I was just hoping to delve slightly into a new arena of my interest on here, which is that I was always about the subject of cakes, okay? I am not a personality who will be flinging like other things other than cakes to you, okay? That I am very clear on. Anything else should tie slightly into cakes. So for instance, if you've been here for a little while and you followed me for a long time, you'll know that even my vlogs are still cake centered. They are covering the days that I am making cakes. And the subject where, for instance, I introduced the house move were slightly tied into cakes, because when I spoke about the possible house moves, that's a whole subject anyway. When I spoke about the possible house moves, I told you, if the house move was just my own personal issue over here, you will never hear about it, okay? I would move homes, mind my own business here. But because you are in my home kitchen, and this background here has become an element of consistency on here, it will skewer your viewership slightly when I suddenly shift to the left and you don't see me, and the next time you see me, I'm in some sort of different background. It's a small detail, but it mattered. So as soon as the subject of a home move came up, I realized that, okay, I needed to kind of present the subject slightly. And by so doing, some of the vlogs I did were focusing on the process of my house move, which is tied to my house kitchen. I have said over here, you will never see my new house come in. No. We don't. I love you, but we don't have that kind of relationship. I like to sleep in peace. And I know that you are not crazy enough to be nosy about my world and my business. But there are other people who are interested in those things in an extremely unhealthy way. Okay. And I'm so grateful that I came to YouTube with a, perhaps for good reason, a mature intention, which is that I am a business owner. I have a specific skill from which I operate from. Anything else, including my personal life, is not, I do not want to make my life aspirational to you, because to be honest, my life, whatever is aspirational about my life is what you are seeing, which is that I want you to aspire to be a great cake maker, to develop your skill. I pour my heart into teaching you all about it, okay? I do not want you to aspire to my relationship or my, because you know what? There are versions of that you will never understand and I will never share. Okay, life is not perfect. Okay, so when you are watching your favorite creators who are putting their life on the line, they are making such a huge investment in that way that I cannot compete, and it is not something that is attractive to me. Okay, so see me as your cake maker, your cake auntie, and that's where we will exist. Okay, with that said, the vlogs and all the other things I introduced were all tying back to the subject of cake. For instance, when fondant is whipping my ass in the kitchen, or on a day where there is a mess to the left in the kitchen, I was bringing you the raw elements of cake making. My son sometimes is in the background. His dad is in the background. When even in the membership, when you've seen the neighbor, it's about cakes. They are eating cakes. So my life on this platform is just about cakes and nothing more than that. So when I introduced the membership, that was just to bring you a very unfiltered form of the cake decorating process, and also streamline and give you some sort of personal feelings and touches as we develop. But that came with an investment from yourself, because the commitment to the membership was about $2.99, which YouTube takes about 30% cut, which brings it down to £2. And the real intention for the membership wasn't set in selfishness. It was set in trying to grow the channel whilst also finding a way to be financially fulfilling, so that I can invest in other aspects, because we have goals here. We do. You and I have goals. We want this to become a YouTube show for us to enjoy. We want to do other things on the side. So the membership was more about an extension of what we already do here. I was never going to cap what we do here and put it on a membership just to charge you for it. The membership was more of, you know what? You love it over here, but if you care for a little more than what we do over here, feel free to join over there. And I didn't make it a business of shouting over it, you know. And I was so bowled over when Lollipop and Tabitha were the people who kind of followed me to that side. And whether I was serving an audience of 100, 1,000, or an audience of 1, my commitment was always true. The fact that you are making that investment of $2.99, you are going to see that video, okay? So that is where we started. As that happened, I realized very quickly that the commitment wasn't there. Not that I didn't care, but I was already overstretched between my own personal commitments and being here, which is a full-time job in itself and making cakes on the side and everything else, I realized that the commitment to keep up with the membership in a way that drives the value that I promised was going to be compromised. So I was already beginning to feel a little bit like, is this even a good idea? And then welcome the day when YouTube decided it was going to drive us to the left and limit the account and leave me sitting here. So very quickly it became apparent that perhaps the best thing to do is go back to treating YouTube as the self-development fun project, because that is where my passion really is, and everything else is just extra, right? I never knew that the lives will become the main focus of my viewership at all. I never thought so. I thought the long form, because YouTube actually pays you more for long form content, but the long form content do take a lot of my time. It's 30 hours from filming to editing to put it one video out. Whereas standing here and talking to you is just the thing that just gets on with it. Okay. So after YouTube did that, I had to reevaluate my goals and recognize that, you know what, whether you're paying me or you're not paying me, you're still serving me, which is that you are here, you are very engaged, you are trusting of the information I give you. We have built a solid relationship, which in itself is incredibly valuable. And so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that was the lesson I learned from YouTube falling off to the wayside and leaving me out here dry. So I deactivated the membership. Okay, I'd like to think with just 2 members over here, you've already watched the videos that I put on there. And like I've said, those videos were just an extension of my own life that I would not put in the public square. When you go to work, you have work friends, and then you have the friends who become, you have work friends who are professional friends and acquaintances, and then those relationships develop into close relationships, and then your work colleagues eventually come to your home and sit in your house, and you share your house business with them. You leave the job, but you travel with them. An essential part of the membership was that, which is that whilst I do not want to put my entire life and the goings on in the worldwide space out here, some of you I have developed a fondness for and with. And for that, I just thought, if you were sat at my kitchen table, there would be conversations to be had. And so there was like a slight extension of that, which is also part of the house moving thing. So for instance, in my garage, I was sharing some very sentimental bits about my life and my journey here, and was looking through some pictures. Now, that is not intrusively private, if you like. It was just something I was looking at while during the house move, and it was nice to kind of share that with a section of people who I feel like I have built trust from. Now that the membership went away, for the fact that those people paid for those videos, I'm not going to put them out. I don't think that is fair. So those videos have finally gone away. The plan is to come back here, okay? You will see me as often as you can, as much as YouTube allows me. We're going to have fun over here. Where possible, I can clip some of our encounter here, put it on the long form content, so that for those of you who can't sit through hours of chatter, can you tell I can chat? Yes, I can. I do. I love to chat. Okay. For those of you who cannot do the hours of chatter, you can see some of the clips, and then we'll take it from there. Now, that is not a never ever thing where I'm like, I'm done with the membership or all of that. No, I think there's always a time and a place for something to grow. Most of all, what is important is continuing to earn your trust, your loyalty, and build integrity. And in the future, if other opportunities crop up, why not? My promise here is that with everything becoming about money, this is not a moral thing. This is, I want to go to bed and feel asleep and feel good thing, which is that before I came to YouTube, I had a traditional job, okay? Before I made cakes, I worked a long time in so many places, and spanning over 15 years, okay, in a career that I could have advanced and achieved other things. I'd realized that going to work for the money alone isn't it. Okay? Going to work just to earn money alone, as sufficient and fulfilling as it is, okay? And earning money from work is a diligent way of keeping your lifestyle and exercising responsibility as a responsible adult member of society. But I'll tell you, if you just have to wake up and go to work just to earn money and there's nothing more, you will exist in a place of emptiness. And I speak that from experience, okay? My life hasn't been easy, and I'm not a rich bugger some here talking from the mountaintop. Look, I could sell you any shit for a penny and get some money and move on, okay? I could. But that's not where I operate from, because I, for a very long time in some aspects of my career, experienced emptiness even though I was earning a decent income. One thing I realized very quickly, though, is that once I found something that I was so passionate about that fulfilled me, even without the income, I was happier. So life is all about balance, okay? So I say that to say, okay, we are back to the place where you are having fun with me right here on YouTube. We get to say what we want, to do what we want, and as long as YouTube allows us, YouTube already has restrictions on things we can say, things we cannot say. Those are built innately in the platform. Don't believe me? Check some of the words you can use on a platform and you will be banned so quick. That is bad enough in a world where we are not free to express what we want to. Right? That is bad enough. I do not want to put any more restrictions on us as it appears. Right? So when you throw money in the subject, the restrictions become tighter. So one of the reasons why I haven't been so quick to engage or involve myself in sponsorship is to almost be able to not have the restriction. Because over here, we live in flexibility. We talk about racism. We talk about that because I'm a Black creator and that subject matters. Okay. And I'm a mom with a boy. And that subject can be heavy, talking about parenting, the difficulties of it. Okay, so take away a Black creator, take away a mom of a child and the nuances of that. And then I'm also Christian. Okay, I have certain values that may not be appealing to the public. I know that. So fancy going to sign up for a deal over here that wants me to sign something that compromises my value. No. Okay. So I say all of that to say business is not easy. Chasing money has to be an intentional choice depending on how one exercises it. For now, I am broke as hell, okay? But I'm happy with you in my corner. That's all, okay? So we're back. we are back. And thank you for being here with me. It is you who has inspired the confidence and trust in me to live better, to make better choices that I hope will make a small difference to the world we live in. So the last 10 days have been moments of self-reflection and actually adapting and not feeling so scared to go back to original roots. And my origins of coming to YouTube is essentially to provide you value, have fun with it, and just let the rest be. So if you're up for something like that, welcome. Take a seat with us, sit down with us. Let's catch up, okay? When the conversation tinkers off to Therapy Village, where you have a problem and you want to come and talk to us about it, you're welcome. We'll hold space for you. When you have challenges in your life on a day where the world is feeling too hot for you to deal with, come here and sit with us and we will hold space for you. Consider this your village where you can come in and say the thing you want to say and trust that we will all hold space for you. And then when you are done, you can go back and live your life the way you want it, and we hold no judgment. That is what I want this place to be. So without the investment about, oh, let me just put up a content for the money, we are back to not having money, but you know what? We ride with each other, and that is just enough. Thank you. That's all. Oh, I need a cup of tea now. Oh God, I've been out here shouting. Look, if you're talking to me, I am reading. Okay? I can't do both. I am either talking to you or I am reading. The two can't exist. But I hope whatever you've been saying to me, Lollipop and Tabitha and Good Vibes are keeping you engaged over there. Thank you for being here with me this Sunday. I didn't go to church. I think if my pastor logs in and checks me out, he'll be like, girl, you better come to church, okay? I missed you, though. I missed you people. Like, this is the last minute cake that ended up here on my desk, and I thought I would bring you along the journey. So thank you for being here. Lady Lately, we haven't seen you in a long while. How are you, my love? Last time the neighbor passed away, a lot happened. Isn't it? Look. Tabitha, I know your October was Octobering. Has it fallen off the pier yet, or it's tinkering about? It is tinkering towards the edge. And Lollipop, Good Vibes. Thank you, Good Vibes. You know, I love you all. Thank you for being here. It is so great to see you all. Okay, this Sunday I am feeling. Look. People, we're supposed to be making ganache, okay? But seeing that I haven't seen you in 10 days, I have a lot to say. I ended up on some part of the internet, my people, and I want to tell somebody. I want to tell somebody where, you know, YouTube went over there and I literally logged out of my channel and gave 2 fingers after YouTube and then went off. And then in my self-reflection and annoyance era, I landed on a part of YouTube. Who over here, don't leave me out here by myself. Who over here likes crime podcasts? Who? Who likes, because we are about to get into a crime subject that has me feeling like God. Tabitha says November, the end of October isn't bad. It's wet and cold. Tabitha, you don't eat lamb? Really? You know what? I don't think once it registered to me what lamb is, you know, sometimes you hear beef and that's all you think about. You don't think about it in the forms that it's a cow that is slaughtered and then chopped up. You just think beef, right? But I think when I heard about lamb, I thought, that's a baby. Is it a baby sheep? Like, who wants to eat that? Oh, Lady Lately says, prayers for my nephew, please. He has sickle cell disease. He is in ICU, okay? Fighting for his life. 47, remember him in prayers. Dear God, we present Lady Lately's nephew into your hands. Grant him healing. Guard the hospital where he is. Let him experience the abundance of your grace and protection in every way. For the family, Lord, I pray that you bring comfort and reassurance. Faith in your word that even in the challenging times, Lord, you remain God and you are in the detail. Lady Lately, we pray that the Lord will be graceful to you, and healing is up on the horizon, and we trust that all will be well. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, all of you think about send some prayers Christopher's way. Christopher, wherever you are, we exercise faith and we stand in the gap in intercession for you, that may the Lord bring healing to you. Amen. Right, that's our Sunday prayer. Lady Lately, hugs your way, and keep us posted. Last time we were here, Naomi wasn't very well and she was headed to the clinic. That was a little over 10 days ago. I did manage to text Naomi today because there's nothing worse than a distracted Christian. Okay, I have been distracted. Okay. I have been a distracted Christian. So Naomi kept popping up in my head and in my prayers a bit. So I did manage to text her. Hopefully we will receive word and I'll keep you all posted. Remember Lisa Ipsum. Lisa, I think one of these days left a message encouraging us and letting us know she is well. So people, don't take our little moments of fellowship here for granted. Whether you're a person of faith or not, it doesn't really matter, okay? We can all exist in this space with our own shared values whilst exercising respect for each other, because that is what community building is all about. So whilst I'm Christian, and yes, we may have a moment of prayer here, and we do Bible, we do talk Bible over here. I'm not a Bible study channel. That's not where I come from, okay? But when we have a social matter that is important to discuss, we look at it from the point of view of biblical principles and moral lessons from the Bible. Do you see what I mean? So those subjects are not foreign over here at all. And I encourage you to stick with us, even if that is not your shared belief with us, okay? So Lady Lately, Christopher, we will pray for, and keep us posted, and hugs and prayers your way. Lovely. Okay. Lollipop says, I like crime documentaries. I just get distracted by my dog. Okay. So, okay. Oh, Lady Lately has been making brioche loaves, and I'm addicted. Brioche loaves, honey. You need to send me some brioche loaves. I want some freshly... I've always thought, Lady Lately, you probably are the baker of bakers, like the people who just love traditional bakes and you put your heart and soul into it. If I ever came to the US, I will find you and Auntie Jackie and the rest of you over there so we can just hang out and eat good Southern bakes. Okay? Thank you. But Lollipop says she likes crime documentaries, but the toddler... You know what? I wouldn't say I liked crime documentaries. I don't. But when I chance onto one that is probably in the news or something we can't avoid, when I get in, I get obsessed. And believe me, I chanced onto... Imagine, okay, so grab a seat. Let me just tell you this story. You may not care for it, but I'm here to tell it. Imagine a whole family. Imagine a whole family. We have an accomplished dentist, his son a periodontist, which is a specialty of dentistry, his wife who calls herself the domestic coordinator. Essentially, she is a learned housewife, but with some skill. Their daughter who is a high-flying lawyer. So we have three specialists with the family's academic prowess. If we put it together, they could apply to be some politician, or even, look, Donald Trump is president, okay? So at this point, anything is possible if you have a brain cell. Tell me why they decided that suddenly they were going to kill somebody. Look, I am not laughing because I think it's funny. What makes it funny is how a doctor, two dentists, specialized dentists, which is a father, a son, a mother who has smarts about her, and the lawyer of a daughter, all of them conspire to kill the daughter's husband, which is their in-law, who is not just any Joe Smug over here. This is Florida State University professor. Like, at what point did they wake up and think, actually, this is a good idea? That story has fascinated me all week. In the last 10 days, I've been stewing on the subject I want to tell somebody. Because you know what? I thought about it and I have obsessed because the subject has so many moving parts. So you know what? I'm not going to ruin it for you. Go and find the story of the Adelsons. As in Adelsons, Adelson. The story of the Adelsons family and the murder of Dan Markel, Professor Dan Markel. Go find it, and you will be as riveted and fascinated as I was following the story. The truth is, the story is all over YouTube anyway, because the matriarch, which is the mother of the family, was convicted, I think, was it a month or so ago? She's gone to prison, life imprisonment. She's gone. Her son was convicted last year. He's gone. The people who committed the murder, there were 2 people and a middle person. All of them convicted too. Except, well, so Matra gets life plus some extra years and years. Son gets life and some extra years. The murderers, the 2, one was an accomplice. So the actual murderer got life plus some years. The accomplice took a deal. Okay, so he is serving some substantial amount of time, but not as much. And guess what? The middle person, which is a woman, she goes for life too. So at this point, there are 5 convictions, 4 life sentences with some extra concurrent years to serve. And only one has a deal. And that's because prosecutors knew that they needed to get him to talk so that they could have the other. Now, the wife of the husband who got killed, which is the baby of the family, who is the lawyer, is the one walking free, but she is deemed an unindicted co-conspirator. So it's only a matter of time, and she might, just might, but God, that story is so riveting. Go see it. Go, when you finish watching this, go on YouTube and look for the Adelsons and the murder of Dan Markel. And your jaw will drop. Like, who does that? That story just, I think, as I've thought about it, the only thing that makes sense to me is I looked at it from the point of view of biblical principles. Like, when stuff happens, what do we learn? And God, please, people, if I have something to tell you about that story, please check your anger and your intentions. Unchecked anger and unchecked intentions has a tendency to lead you all the way to the left over here before you know it. Because I'm just sat here thinking, the matriarch who plotted all of these things was just angry because she couldn't have what she wanted, which is that the way she perceived family to look like. Her daughter, she look, go check out the story for yourself, and maybe we'll come back and talk about it another day. Because it's a crazy story. Look, Lollipop, I've given you something to go check out, okay? It is crazy. Because the whole murder was plotted by the matriarch. So imagine the matriarch with her dentist husband, her specialist dentist son, her older son who is also a doctor. Oh, I forgot the older son, because the older son is estranged from the family, so he doesn't seem to play a big role. So this is man and wife. They have 3 children. The 3 children, you have a doctor being the oldest. The middle child is the specialist dentist, which is the periodontist. And then the baby child, which is a girl, is a lawyer. Now, the older son dates, they're people of the Jewish faith and culture as well. Anyway, that matters. because the older child goes to medical school, meets somebody who isn't associated with them culturally, if you like. That person is of Indian descent, and when the older son chose to marry this person, the matriarch was like, nah, we're not about that life over here. Forces her son to split up with his partner of choice to settle with one recommended by mommy. 9 months later, the marriage collapses, and guess what? Son goes back to marrying his Indian wife and moves all the way to the left. And that was the start of the estrangement. So the older son, even though he eventually marries this person, this Indian woman, to the dislike of his family, he maintains just minimal contact here and there. The middle son, who is the specialist periodontist over here, runs the dental practice. This is a successful dental business that they built up, and it is formidable in the community in which they live with such wealth and success. But the middle son is a playboy. He does mom's bidding. He loves mom. He's like the child that mom loves, because mom has a very unhealthy codependent relationship with him. So he's older. He's the middle son. He's accomplished, but mom is up there in his business fixing things for him. So mom is at the dental practice working as an office manager, signing checks and doing all these bits over there. Remember, mom's husband is a dentist too. Anyway, the baby child, which is a girl, is Wendy. Wendy is an accomplished lawyer, immigration lawyer. But before she became a lawyer, she gained or achieved success in different academic fields. Her resume is the thing that anybody will see and go, wow, this is a person with smarts. But mom is all up in Wendy's business. Mom is going up to set up a dating agency and choosing the partners and recommending partners for, what has mom got to do with choosing a partner for a lawyer? If she wanted, she would go and find a husband for herself. Huh! That story is just like wild. Go and see the story for yourself. Anyway, mom recommends a husband. Mom recommends this guy, Dan, who Wendy eventually marries. But the marriage is doomed from the start anyway. So by the time they come to splitting up, things get really contentious. Guess who is in the detail? Mom. Mom is all up in the detail. Mom is, can you imagine, hello people, my people, there is 7 of you. Come here, sit on the table and let me talk to you. If you find yourself, okay, being agreed for all the time and being so agreeable, if you had any pressing issue in your life and the people you talk to, especially, mind this, unchecked intention. If you go to your friends about that boyfriend that is doing your head in, and all your friends are like, yeah, he's bad, you have bad friends. Because one of those friends should actually ask you, girl, if he's that bad, what's your role in it? And by the way, let's be clear. I'm not talking about the subject of ABUSE. No. Okay? ABUSE is a completely different subject. I'm not touching that. I'm talking about a subject of when people just get petty. People just get malicious to just one up over another. That's all. We all have a tendency to do that. Okay, we will twist the story. We will let the story serve us even when we are not acting right. Especially when we are the villains in the story, and yet we still want sympathy. We will change the story to solicit that sympathy. Please check your heart posture and your intention. Because if only this matriarch had stopped for a minute and checked her heart posture, excluding the fact that she may just have, she may be a type of personality that that lacks empathy and self-reflection, because there are people in that category, and I don't know that for a fact, so I'm not touching that. I'm just talking about this in the general sense of, if you're a person who is just used to soliciting like sympathy for all the wrong reasons without unchecked responsibility, you are on the road to somewhere you can't come back from. Because if this matriarch had just stopped for a minute and thought, what is this all about? Is it all about my ego and my interest and the selfishness of trying to control my daughter's means and the ends of it? She wouldn't be in prison today. And if she had a husband with a backbone who would get up and go, knock it off. Knock it off already. I've had one too many troubles with you. Stop it. Perhaps. But everybody found themselves bidding in this matrix, like intentions and actions. To the point where she encourages her daughter to split up with this guy 2 children later, 2 little babies later. And all this matriarch wants is move town, come back home, come back home, come back home. Come back home for what? She's old. She has 2 kids. And so the whole murder plot of this poor guy was predicated on just the fact that he wanted to be a dad to his children, and he fought for his children at every turn. And at every turn, when the family lost against him, they just thought, we wanted to up one over you, until they eventually plotted to kill him. Go watch the story. Come back. But you know what? I was thinking about it, and I found myself with a quote from Proverbs 14:30 that says, a content heart feeds the body, but envy will rot your bones. I think that's enough for Sunday. Okay, now let's go check on our cake. Did I tell you we were going to make ganache? Anyway, the story is the family of the Edelsons and the murder of Professor Dan Markel. That's all. Go find it. In the meantime, it's our cake baking. I can't even remember when we put it in the oven. Lollipop, you say damn. When you go and watch the trial of the matriarch and her children having to testify against her, and her behavior from start to finish, you will roll over and be like, evil walks this earth in the form of a scrawny, old, conniving, old woman. Okay, so Tafita says, I've been here since 9:46. It was in the oven before I got here. I didn't even know you baked. Tafita? Okay. Tafita saved today. 9:46. What would that be? That would have been... Oh, Lord. Whew. It's great to be back, though. It is. You know what? We will wait for the cake to bake, right? And then we'll sign off, and then we'll come back and we'll make the ganache. Because I want the ganache tutorial to be very specific and detailed. Because since we are not going to be... Look, the long form content... Christmas is coming. If I have sessions to create, yeah, I might do. But we are living over here live, right? And then we'll clip. So... everything is all out here for you to see. So I want to come back so that I can really dig into the subject of ganache properly, because right now my head is all over the place about those Edelsons. But I'm happy I told you, because you know what, I tried to tell the big producer, and the big producer is a big fan of crime documentaries, And he kept going. Can you imagine? You're trying to tell something, you're going to gossip about something, and the person keeps going, no, 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 don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it for me. So I've been stuck with this story, and I know you probably don't care, and you came for the cake, and it's just Tabitha and Lollipop and I, just the three of us on the island over here talking about something that doesn't matter to you. But please hold space for us, okay? We love you still. God, that's just, let's see. Yeah, so for the ganache, I already have the double cream, I have the chocolate. It's going to be a full tutorial because I am hoping to kind of like create the tutorial properly, and then we will come back, because remember, we've spoken about ganache all the time, and all the time I have said, oh, I will create it. And actually I was in the process of creating a 6-part class on the ganache on the membership, but since I got rid of the membership, I don't have 30 hours to sit and edit one video just for YouTube to misbehave over here. So I want to kind of create it on a live, and I just want it to be very valuable to you. If I put it here today, right now with you, I will be distracted, because can you tell my brain feels like it is really burning with joy. So when we sign off, it's 5:33. We'll probably be back maybe about 7 o'clock. I don't know. I just want the cake to finish. We'll take it out. I will wash up, tidy up, get my notes right, and then we'll come back and we'll do ganache. Because the ganache is just mixing the stuff together and then melting it from the oven. But I just want it to be very informative and full of value for you. That's all. Yeah? So great to have you back, my people. Thank you always for just being so patient and being so supportive of me. You have no idea how that helps me. Okay? But that said, we're still waiting for the cake to finish. We are not leaving yet. Okay? We are waiting for the cake to finish, and then we'll see the result of the cake, and then we'll come back. Let's see what is here. People. Okay. You people know we will always keep it real over here. I don't know if the cake has been baking for an hour. Because Tabitha says it was already in by 9:46 and it's 5:35. So it's been in maybe about 50 to 55 minutes already. Let's have a look. Okay, it's baked clean, but look, even with the cooling, remember I created a hole in the middle. Even with the cooling, this is what we have. The other one has spread a little more. So there we have it. It hasn't fallen through. Remember, I created a hole in the middle. So because it came all the way up and didn't have anything to hold, it fell over. So this is what we have. But it has baked well. So here's what I'll tell you. The difference between using the baking spread or the vegan, the baking spread and vegan spread. Here's the difference. That if this was just regular batter, this would have come all together and set nicely. In terms of structure, it seems like this is lighter and doesn't hold properly. Is that a good or a bad thing? I don't think so. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Well, that's a very light cake. Bear with me. Right. So I think besides, what's the timestamp? Maybe 55 minutes to an hour. Perhaps reduce the heat from 150. But in terms of texture, super light. It is so crispy too. The only reason I'm picking from the top is just so that we can get to the crust and make sure that we've got some nice crumb here. So look. Right, so let me get right. Let's flip it over. What an amazing. Right. Ooh, okay. Okay, we've got to say it's baked tall though, and the results are, ooh, okay. Right, there you go. Okay. Okay. Ooh, okay. It is very delicate. Okay. Well, I am not so mad. That's our cake done. Look. When I tell you the recipe is adaptable, believe me. Because even though, actually I'll tell you one thing. The water that I put in the oven didn't work. You know why? Because the tray was sat on top of the water. Which means it didn't allow the vapor to evaporate in the oven, which is why we still have the burns. But you live and you learn, and there you have it. We still have the cake baked, and the result is still amazing. Yes, lollipop, you're right. It's a rack of 3. I have 1 here and the 2 are in my oven here. So you can actually bake through them. Ooh. Actually, light crumb, melt in the mouth feel amazing. I have nothing to tell you. If I stay here, I will pinch on this cake, and this cake needs to be built. We will have to go away, come back at 7 and do the ganache, and the making of this cake starts tomorrow. I'll be back here on the live. It's the halftime break for the kids, but I've got extra help in the big producer at home. So we are back. We're back. When I tell you, I got mad at YouTube for a minute I reevaluated my plan and I'm like, let's just go full steam. So look, any reason to be here, you're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to be here, and the cake result is great. For now though, it's Sunday. If your morning is just starting, go do what you have to do. And if you're having a chill day, we'll catch you at 7 p.m. UK time. It's 5:45. So we'll be back in a little over an hour later to get the ganache sorted. So if you have wanted to know about how to make a ganache, get your notes, your pens. We are getting to class. Okay? Come back and I'll see you soon at 7.